Hello, everyone. I'm Alina, again, your host, and we are here, IKIGAI with Alina, on of Australians. To get updates from us, please like the Facebook page and YouTube page as well. Ikigai, as I have already told so many times, the reason I kept this show name Ikigai with Alina is Ikigai is Japanese word which means reason for being. And today we have a guest who has um, adopted her ikigai into her life for her journey, her business, and she always trusted into something and she has built that thing. So, very welcome, Zehra. You are an inspiration for Pakistani women, for me, for everyone. So, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Alina.
How's weather of Karachi? So, she's from Karachi. Zehra, how's weather of Karachi?
It's raining since the past 2 days. So, yeah, very, very windy, very rainy. Yeah, but it's
Oh my
pleasant
God.
overall. Yeah.
Pleasant, yes. I The thing I don't like about Karachi's weather is like the saturation of water. It's so much once rains
Yeah.
comes. Otherwise, it's good. So yeah, it's been freezing over here because we usually have winters in opposite time as Karachi. So it's winter time. We usually have summers in November and December. So it's freezing. Sometimes it's 1 degree and 0 degree. Sometimes -2 in night. So yes, it's crazy. And how you been?
I've been good. I've been really good. I've been very busy with work lately. I can't believe it's already half the year, and I feel like I just have a couple of months to go. And I was just checking off my list of what I've done so far in this year and what's still left. So it's just really hard for me to absorb that we are done with 7 months in a way. And yeah,
Yes.
I mean, time is flying, especially, for working professionals. It's like this.
Exactly, I know. We just started this year and now it's 7 months already. Half the year
Yeah.
is gone. So,
Yeah.
Zara, tell me more about your business, how it started. What's your story?
Okay. So just like the name of the company suggests, Dastan, in the Urdu language, it means story, narratives, storytelling, right? So we kept this name because it has a long story to, cover. So for example, when I moved to London in 2016, I was part of a scholarship program. And I clearly remember I was at the Karachi airport. It was, I think, evening time, and it was my first time traveling outside of Pakistan alone. By alone, I mean I was the only, uh, I was traveling on my own. I didn't have any friends or family members who would be accompanying me. I got to know through my sponsoring institute that there is this other girl who would be joining me. I haven't met her. I have hardly talked to her because we were both working and wrapping up and packing for London. And I clearly remember I was sitting at the Karachi airport. We were supposed to fly together. Obviously, strangers at that time, but really good friends now. And she never came. And I was nervous. I was shocked. I was very fearful of what's going to happen in the next couple of hours because I'm supposed to board a flight and I have no clue on where to go or how to navigate or stuff like that. And being a Pakistani female, who has never traveled outside of Pakistan on her own, like you did, but it has always been with my family. And when you are going out and that fear of the unknown really grapples you to the core, and it's not easy. And I remember I was just sitting there at the airport and I was wondering, oh gosh, what's going to happen next, because as a girl you have all those kinds of fears. Am I going to reach on time? What's going to happen? What if I miss my connecting flight, etc., etc.? But then I clearly remember I gave myself this hope that maybe, in our connecting flight in Qatar, we might, meet up. Maybe she's coming in a different flight. I didn't have data during that time. Karachi airport had very limited Wi Fi. I remember I didn't even have her WhatsApp number. And I had to take my first ever flight. I remember at the connecting airport, I kept waiting. I kept looking around. I was like, oh, she might come. I might see her. But she never came. I had no contact with my family. I mean, they were definitely trying to contact me, but once you move out, your number becomes dysfunctional. Um,
Yes.
no contact with anybody. I don't know anyone. I am in a big airport with like lots of people, in a rush. They're always on the move. And I am feeling super nervous. Like I am feeling it right now, imagining my state, my mental state during that time. Now, this is back in August 2016. So I clearly remember I safely made it to London Heathrow Airport, safe and sound, but then didn't find my taxi driver. I had to wait for 2 hours, and ask like random people because I didn't have the change. I had like pounds in cash, but I didn't have the currency like in change that I could use, as coins to pay for the telephone, and just call my driver up because I had his number. And even that wasn't working. And then I don't know, someone just came up to me after seeing me rushing from this part of the airport to that part of the airport with my like stack of luggage, and then constantly moving back and forth, in a frenzy and confused and, just like out of the zone. And, that person just wondered, she doesn't look crazy, but there is something crazy going on. And she is going back and forth, back and forth. Let me just go and ask her. And he came and he was like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I need to contact my taxi driver who's supposed to pick me up from here and drop me to my hostel. And I don't know how to navigate because I don't have any, change. And he was so kind. Like even before me asking him for change, he was like, you take my phone, keep this extra change in case if he doesn't respond because I have to rush, but just make a call. He didn't pick up. The taxi company didn't pick up. His change really helped me, and I just pushed in like whatever I could make of that currency. And it's a new currency for me. And I call the company up and I'm like, the driver is not here. What do I do? And it's already 2 hours, and the security is watching me because they are like, why is she not leaving the airport? Why is she still here with her luggage? And being a person of color, and having passed the immigration process, it's not easy. Because I did feel discriminated the first time I entered London, by the immigration officer. So I was already carrying that negativity, that negative experience, but then, anyways, I somehow managed to contact the company. They called me back and they were like, he's outside waiting for you, just go. And I will never forget that first taxi journey I had on my own. All right. And I'm looking at the roads, I'm looking at British infrastructure, and I'm like constantly making comparisons on the city I am from and to the streets of London. And I'm like, what kind of a world is it? It's not making sense. So, anyways, that first journey translated into 6 months. First, very harsh 6 months because, I had to adapt to how the, things worked, how the transport system worked. I had to cook my own food, do my own laundry, which is such a given, when you live in Pakistan, when you live in a family setup. And then I had to learn everything fresh. And obviously there were challenges, there were some, cultural conflicts happening because obviously in a hostel, you have people from very different countries, living as your cluster mates, as your hostel mates. So everything was new, fresh, extremely challenging. Like I found the first 6 months very challenging. And I I was like, okay, either I'm going to make it in these 6 months, or I'm going back to Pakistan, halas. And it turned out that the 6 months went by, and I finally felt like, okay, I can call this home for the next 3 years. And trust me, Alina, as a brown girl who's traveling for the first time on her own, without her family, the way we are brought up, as dependent individuals, especially as dependent women, not men, it is not easy. But let me tell you, this one journey changed my whole life. I became so confident. I understood that okay, if I can come all the way from Karachi to London on my own, safe and sound, I can do more than just this. So, for
Mm.
example, I did my own groceries. I started cooking, initially really bad food, but I started improving. And by the end of third year, I cooked really good food. So, yeah,
Wow.
kudos to me, finally.
Sure. And finally.
So I think my biggest lesson, in those 3 years was that we underestimate our potential as human beings,
Mm.
especially as women. We feel like we can never travel alone, we can never be dependent, we can
Mm.
never make rational decisions. We always have to rely on someone else, probably an elder sister, or a brother, or a father figure. We need to have someone to look up to, but that is not true. You can do it. And my biggest lesson, from these 3 years, and obviously after that as well, has been that you as an individual can make independent decisions. As a matter of fact, I'm not saying it because I'm a woman, but because scientific studies have proved again and again and again that women are born, as multitaskers. They can do multitasking really well. The front part of their brain is structured in a way that they can do so much stuff at the same time, and they have that eye for detail, which is why women are born leaders. So if they are born leaders, is it the culture, is it the upbringing, is it the society that overshadows it and doesn't let it express? I think that is the case exactly, because those 3 years I thrived, and that society was is open, is more gender equal than the society I come from. And I learned that I can thrive if I put in efforts. No one is going to come and spoon feed me ki, "Ji, be independent." No, I have to challenge myself, I have to move out of my comfort zone, I have to do extra. And it's okay if you make mistakes. I mean, I find this term failure a very problematic term. I don't think there are any failures in life. There are just lessons and feedback. That's it.
Mm.
If
Yeah.
we train our brain to understand that whatever we find at the moment is a challenging situation, if we just rewire our brain and be like, okay, it's fine. Even if I failed in this project, or even if I make a mistake, I can learn from it and improvise on my life. I think if we just rewire our brain in a way, and it does need conscious effort, because human societies have evolved in a way that the emotion of anger and fear is linked to our survival. So it is it's a more natural emotion. Like, this is the first emotion you feel, right? So bringing yourself to positivity and not feeling threatened because of your environment, or your situation, needs efforts. So this rewiring is very necessary. If you just rewire your brain and you think, okay, it's fine if this has happened, but how about I look at the same situation from a different lens? Like, if that would not have happened, that one incident, and a couple of other, situations as well, not just that, that was just a building block of this journey of 7 years that went into creating Dastan. Dastan is not a creation of a day. This thought process is not even just mine. It has been, sharpened by a lot of inspiring people whom I have met in my life. And that also includes my co-founder, who gave me that confidence, and who basically, not exactly gave me the confidence. I was already confident, but he realized that strength, and he told me that you can do it. Don't feel like you can only limit yourself to a job. You can do more than a job, because he was very inspired. So that's a different chapter, so let's just discuss that a little later. But um, so Dastan is not just it wasn't created in a day. It has a story of like 7 years of victories, not failures but feedbacks, different situations, trials and tribulations, but at the same time, a lot of learning opportunities as well, which I think if I wouldn't have moved out of my comfort zone, I might have had never had realized that, this is inbuilt in me, and it just needed that, situation to bring it outside. So as human beings, we really need to, give ourselves that chance to make mistakes,
Hmm.
to forgive ourselves. Very, very important. We don't, we're so critical and we're so demanding of ourselves that we don't give ourselves that benefit of doubt, that benefit of forgiveness. Self forgiveness is also very important, you know and you definitely anchor yourself in the past by you make an anchor to your present by making a reference to your past. And by
Hmm.
that I mean that, you, for example, if I am, right now a co-founder and CEO of Dastan Tours, I definitely should reflect on what happened in my past,
Hmm.
but not make a home in my past, if that makes
Hmm.
sense. Like, it's
Yes.
okay if things happened in your past, it's completely fine. Okay,
Hmm.
I do go back, I do think about my past experiences, but I
Hmm.
don't live there. I live in my present. I don't even live in my future, because that gives me a lot of anxiety. And if I
Hmm.
think too much about my past, it brings a lot of depressing thoughts. So, you definitely make a referral that, yeah, that was my starting journey, when I had
Yes.
nothing, when I was nothing, when I had
Hmm.
no guidance, no clue, no pathway. And it is important because it's going to keep you grounded, it's going to keep you humble, and that learning spark. Okay, no, this is not enough, I need to learn more, I need to do more, is always going to be present in you if you start living in your present, appreciating your present. Definitely referring to your past, and not forgetting your past and be like, yeah, this is I am. No, definitely referring to your past, because that's going to make you humble and grounded, and
Yes.
definitely is going to give you an appreciation of how far you have come,
Hmm.
and a hope for the future. That
Yes.
tomorrow is going to be better than today.
Of
Tomorrow I am
course.
going to be one step, not like 100 steps, one step ahead of where I am today. I
Hmm.
think as a nation, I'm not going to be very critical, because definitely I am a product of Pakistan, very proud of my identity. But I think we are not taught to, struggle. We are not taught to go through that phase of struggle, right? We are taught to, just make shortcuts and, achieve a lot of success in life. We are
Yes.
taught, oh, Steve Jobs and, famous people, successful people became successful overnight. That is not true. That is completely not true. You have no idea. And all those who are listening to me right now, you have no idea how much I have struggled emotionally, physically, psychologically, and even financially to be where I am today. And it takes a lot of guts, it takes a lot of risk, it takes a lot of, mental and financial calculations to make prudent decisions. Because, for entrepreneurship, you definitely need to sacrifice a lot. It's not
Yes.
easy.
Of
And
course.
I think I'm just going to take a pause here and let you, like, guide this discussion through.
Sure. I had read a very good quote. वक्त करता है परवरिश बरसों मौत से यकसर नहीं होते हैं. So overnight success looks like overnight success, but it has huge uh, huge amounts of where you burn your midnight oil, and then everyone looks at it like overnight success, but it is not. So
Hmm.
Zara, tell me, what is Dastan Tours? Like in maybe one or two sentence, what it is.
Hmm. So the mandate of Dastan Tours is basically to promote sustainable tourism development in Pakistan. Uh, you know, uh, we tend to think of tourism as a very simplistic, simplified version of, you book a car, you book a destination, you go and stay in a hotel, and that's it. That's a typical understanding of what tourism is. But tourism is not that simplistic. It's actually a very complex process, because you're not just visiting a destination and staying in a hotel and driving in a car. You're actually engaging with local communities. And by that, I mean you're engaging with human beings. And human beings carry a lot of traditions, norms, culture. They are a living culture on their own. And they have emotions. Humans are emotional beings. So you're not just visiting a place, you are engaging with them, you're interacting with them, right? And if, for example, if your hotel was built for you by cutting down a lot of trees and forest in that area, then you are definitely, not engaging with the local communities and their ecosystem in the right way, because that is their livelihood, it's their shelter against floods, against, a lot of natural calamities. Their culture, their songs, their rituals, even their dried fruits, their hymns are connected with their geography, right? And if
Yeah.
you go and you don't engage with them and you don't understand, them, then it's pointless. It's like literally like having like a back cover of mountains, and I take like a picture and I'd be like, oh yeah, I visited, the mountainous region of Pakistan, and yeah, see how cool, I look. You can do that, I mean, you can Photoshop, but that is not tourism. Tourism is
Yes.
about engagement
Hmm.
with local communities, with local geographies, in a way that you make it sustainable in all aspects, not just
Hmm.
environmentally, but also like culturally, socially, and economically as well.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, this is pretty much it. But the vision of Dastan Tours is to promote sustainable tourism development in Pakistan. Let
And
me just
how?
unpack. Mhm. Yeah, please go ahead,
Sorry.
Alina.
Next question was, how do you do it? Like,
Mm-hmm.
how you achieve your vision? How you are different from normal travel agents that are there in Pakistan? Because I have done Pakistan tours so many times, and usually I sometimes go through travel agents, sometimes I go through by myself. So, how Dastan is different from other travel agents?
Excellent question, Alina. So, Dastan Tours is different in a way that it's a licensed company. We do have other licensed companies as well, but the majority of our travel agents are unlicensed, tour operators who claim on social media that they are running tours. But unfortunately, God forbids, if anything happens, then you cannot bring them to the judicial structure. Like, you cannot take them to court, you cannot take their license away because they don't have a license in the first place. So
Hmm.
Dastan Tours is a licensed company with the government of Sindh. Like, we have the DTS tour operating license. We are also a part of Pakistan Association of Tour Operators, which is basically an association that connects all private sector tour operators under one umbrella. um, and the kind of services that we give and the kind of products that we sell is basically that we make customized tours, and we offer a range of tours. So for example, ours is not just limited to the north of Pakistan. We also do like cultural tours, we do biodiversity tours, we do adventure sports, we do adventure tours, not sports but adventure tours, and we do it all across Pakistan. So including Gilgit Baltistan, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Balochistan, some regions, because some regions are prohibited for foreigners, especially given our CPAC work that's being done, Punjab and Sindh. And like you can see, I'm wearing ajrak today. It's because of a reason. So my co-founder and I are basically both Sindhi-speaking, youth of Pakistan. And the reason why we connected and we went through this entire process of registering our company and formulating our company is to promote south of Pakistan as well, because often at times when people think about Pakistan, they think about the mountainous north, which is a part of Pakistan. But Pakistan is not just limited to the mountainous regions, right? We have got Texila and Mohenjo-daro, which were part of a great Indus Valley civilization, even dating back to Egyptian civilization. And even if you go older than that, then you have got Mehergarh ruins in Balochistan, which no one knows about. And then we also have the white desert, which is known as Achrothar in Sindh, that no one knows about. We have jeep rallies. We have got beautiful heritage structures and fortresses and forts, and many heritage sites. In south of Pakistan. So by south I mean Punjab, Sindh, Balochistan. And even in north, I mean, you don't just have the mountains, but you have a rich, thriving, living cultural communities, who speak a range of languages. And you find Buddhist ruins, you find Buddhist stupas in Gilgit Baltistan and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. You also have the Kalasha community. So the picture that you took for the brochure is, in that picture I'm wearing the Kalasha cultural dress. um,
Yes.
Now they are believed to be the descendants of the armies of Alexander the Great.
Mm.
So Pakistan is extremely diverse, and I think this is one of those reasons why I am personally fascinated by Pakistan as well, because you cross like a couple of kilometers, and the dialect changes. So in Sindh, people assume that we all speak Sindhi. Yeah, we do, but people often don't know that
Not
there are
me.
like there are around like 6 to 7 dialects being
Yes.
spoken. So for even my co-founder and I, we speak very different dialects. We do understand each other, that's not a problem, but the dialects are different. And isn't that beautiful? Like what kind of a
Yes.
diversity would you find, immense diversity in any other country? And diversity not just in cultures, but also in geographies, in religious sites. We have got a lot of religious trails as well. Even we are, right now, working on a Sufi trail, Sufi heritage trail of Sindh. So, and you have the Buddhist sites, you have the Jain and Hindu temples in Sindh. And you have got, so many, like a plethora of religious communities living in Pakistan. Yes,
Mm.
I am not denying that there aren't issues. There are a plenty, but if you look at it from an exploratory sense, because a true tourist is someone who explores stuff, who's exploratory and inquisitive by nature. And if you look at it, Pakistan from that lens, then
Mm.
you will find people, and they're living in this region since millennia, like, and you have a lot of trade and migration of people going on, since
Yes.
so many years. Even,
Yes.
for example, Mehergarh is like, 10,000 years old, 7 to 10,000 years old civilization. Then you have the Indus Valley civilization, remains of which you will find in Punjab, in Sindh, in the form of Texila and Mohenjo-daro. Those are like 4,500 to like 5,000 years old. So you can imagine how old civilizations we have had in this part of the world. And then you will be, extremely fascinated that you also have, the biggest, the highest mountains of the world in Pakistan. And then you have the desert, and you have a beautiful, seashore from Karachi all the way to Gwadar, connecting Iran. I mean, if that is not enough, then I don't know how else to put it. So yes, it's just about, the kind of lens and the kind of approach you take in, looking at a country, and irrespective of, whatever, and however the international media portrays us. If we look at Pakistan objectively, you will find very loving and peaceful people across Pakistan. I mean, I've traveled to so many places. I'm not saying there aren't issues. There aren't any issues. I will never say that. There are infrastructure issues. There are some areas where I can't go, without taking like a full parda, right?
Mm.
There are some no-go zones, because we share borders, our borders with other countries. Yeah, we definitely have, all sorts of issues. But despite of that, I feel whenever I've been to with any community, I felt very accepted, honored, respected, and this has kept me going. And again, like I told you, you enjoy your present, but then you always have a futuristic approach that, one day, things will become better, and we have to keep moving ahead. And the best part is, Alina, I get so many texts every single day, people from, places of Pakistan that I haven't been to personally. And they text me and they're like, you're doing such a good job, why don't you promote our area as well? So now we are changing our strategy, and we are thinking that now it's time that we start thinking about digitization, because realistically speaking, it's impossible for us to do it physically, with so much brochures, and that also has an environmental impact, right? So we are now brainstorming, thinking constantly on the go on how can we digitize all of these communities living in Pakistan who are interested in collaborating with us to offer digital solutions that can go long term, and through which these communities can actually offer their services and products online.
Sure. So, quick question, Zara. How much the packages last? As in, what's the minimum or maximum? What's the range of the packages that you provide for tourism?
Excellent question, Alina. I always basically give like a set of questions whenever I, have any kind of inquiries in terms of prices. The first question I ask is, how many days do you want to explore? um, what's your preference in terms of, like, would you like to go to the mountains, or would you like to go and explore the beaches, or heritage sites, or UNESCO sites, or religious places? And then I ask how many people would there be, and the kind of services that they would expect from us. So we have basically two categories, primarily standard and premium. So in standard, we give them standard transport and accommodation sites. We also give them a local guide because that's necessary, someone who knows the local language and is from that region. And then for premium, the quality in terms of transport and accommodation changes. Like it goes obviously some notches up. So if I have these parameters, I am happy to design, an itinerary and give the best possible price, to our
It's so
guests.
good that you can customize the package. Like it's
Yeah,
not like five
yeah,
days or 7 days. It's what a customer wants, which is really good because everyone wants customization now. I don't want to
absolutely.
go to beach if I'm not a beach person. If
Yeah,
I'm a hike person, I would like something hike. So it's so good that you are customizing packages, which is really impressive. Not many people do that. Now, how about let's discuss some failures because as we spoke, nothing is overnight success. And I know
yes,
personally that you have strived so much. In social media, everything looks so gooey, so good. But
yeah.
of course, they don't know about failures. So
Hmm.
how how much failures you faced, how you learned. Let's talk about that.
Sure. Um, so I clearly remember when I was studying at King. So let's just talk about how the. I'm just going to touch base on this aspect because I think it's very important. And this is when you realize how to identify strengths within you as well. And then I will just start with the strengths part, and then move on to how I overcame my failures and hurdles. Okay. So the first 2 years, I was doing a degree in Islamic Studies and Humanities from the Institute of Smiley Studies, London. And I think those 2 years fundamentally, shaped the way I eventually, ended up pursuing a degree in tourism and development studies. So, when you live in London, you have that opportunity that if you want, you can take like free walking tours in the evening, across London Bridge, London Eye, or even if you're visiting like Oxford or Cambridge cities, you can just hop on to that walking tour, or you can just hop on to a bus and go and check out like the Harry Potter set. And you can do it alone. That's the best part. It's very safe, so no matter whatever time you come back home, no one is going to harm you or tease you or like harass you. And this is a component that I really really miss about London even till now. um, so I think what happened was that when you are living as a student, first of all, you don't have a lot of money because you live off on stipends, and those are limited, and you have to manage all of your expenditures in that. And now you cannot just, if you're getting like a few days off, or you're getting like 2 weeks off, you cannot just fly back to Pakistan. I mean, there were some who managed to do that, but I couldn't because I remember I had very limited resources. So, yes, I think this is also a very important point. A lot of people think entrepreneurship is for those who are very rich. I am right in front of you, openly declaring I come from a middle class background, and I'm very proud of that. Because if I wouldn't have been born into a middle class background, I would never have realized, never have appreciated the kind of struggles that Desi parents, Pakistani middle class parents go through while educating their children. And I would have taken life for granted. I would have taken a lot of things for granted. So please, if this is in your mind that you need like chunks of money to start a business, you don't. If you have a will, you have a way, and I'm going to discuss that in the next component, third component. Yeah. So talking about strengths, when you live in a multicultural society, what happens is that people are very, they encourage you. So for example, if I used to go into these walking tours, I met all kinds of nationalities, people with different gender and sexuality identities as well. I engaged with them with an open heart and an open mind. You don't just need an open mind, you need an open heart to accept people, to listen to their stories. And I think that is when I also reflected on how come, with no exposure with foreigners, with different nationalities in Pakistan, coming from a bubble, how is it that I'm able to connect with them on a human level? Why is it that they're opening up to me and talking about their own private struggles, or whatever they are going through in their lives, and accepting me as a Pakistani girl whom they might think that she might be conservative, she doesn't cover her head. I've heard all of these arguments while living in London, so it's not new. But I found it very very strange, on how come they're so open. And then at the same time they used to like pinpoint as well that girl, this is really good about you. Have you ever thought like that? Have you ever wondered on this? So you don't just shoo it away just because you have got low self-esteem. You don't just shoo it away, you basically take it on board and be like, this is a stranger, and this girl or guy is basically pointing a positive aspect of our personality. You note it down. Okay, you either note it down, you journal it, or you just just take your fingers on your temple, just put it right there in your head, that okay, she complimented it, I have got leadership skills. Wow. This is very important anchoring, because later on in life, if you are ever facing a downfall, or you're going through an emotional dilemma, or life is harsh on you, you can always tap into it, and all of those happy memories are going to come back in your life. Now these are tried methods of neuro linguistic programming, so it's not something that I'm just blabbering about. This is tried and tested, and I still do it, these days as well. You anchor good memories in your mind, because, like I mentioned before as well, you have to rewire yourself. Anyways, so you know, and then what happened was, I realized that if I can do a journey from Karachi to London on my own, and I can plan trips and I can do research, how about I explore countries that I might not be able to do when I return to Pakistan? So on my own, I did a couple of countries in East Africa, in uh, in Europe, primarily Morocco and Egypt. There were some sponsored trips by our institute as part of our language immersion program, as part of our research projects. But a lot of trips I did on my own. And that was in addition to managing studies, managing groceries, managing my lifestyle, managing a lot of responsibilities, because you're on your own. And you know that just added a lot of color to my life. It added a lot of thrill, and I used to look forward to my next trip you know so I finally found that courage that no, I can make friends easily, naturally. Yeah, it's an ability in me, and let's polish it. So it's not like a human being cannot have negative traits. You a human being is full of mistake, full of failures, full of mistakes, and it's okay. But if you realize the good part and you keep polishing it, it's really going to help you in your life. And here I would like to quote one of my previous mentors whom I met in one of our youth camps in Pakistan. His name is Sohail Zindani. I don't know if he's listening. Yeah, I hope he does one day. He would be very proud of us, because he was the one who guided me, and he was the one who actually, gave an entire session that if you focus on your strengths in life, you will never fail as a person, because you will know that you can pick yourself up and keep polishing your strengths, and one day you will definitely reach your destination. And the definition of definition differs from person to person as well. So for me, I don't have any set destinations. What
Hmm.
destination I am at right now, I'm very happy about it because I've come a long way to achieve this. And in future, I'm completely flexible. Yes, there is some vision to promote something, to achieve something. That's there, but even that is not a destination, because the way our world is changing and the way, our societies are constantly evolving, getting new exposure, getting new technologies, like for example the metaverse, we have to keep adapting. And because change is the only constant, like you mentioned last time as well, Alina. And your definition of destination is going to change as well. Anyways, a lot of philosophical talk aside, let's now talk about failures. So when I went to King's and I started studying, I realized that there's a lot of stuff that I don't know about. And if I and there was a lot of ambiguity as well. Okay, I'm doing a master's in tourism studies because that's what I'm passionate about, and I shifted from after like the first 2 years to this program. But what's next? So there's a lot of ambiguity, which I will, definitely include in this definition of feedback slash failure, whatever you call it. Then you need to seek opportunities for yourself. You need to have that intent कि, I want to do something, मुझे कुछ करना है. You don't just become passive and you be like, yeah, the world is bad, there are no opportunities, there are no jobs, there's nothing for me. Oh, I am a woman, there's nothing, there's so much discrimination against women. If you have that passive approach in your mind, then you will never go ahead. So always challenge yourself. Okay, yes, there is discrimination. There's a lot of bad happening around the globe. There's a lot of, there is dearth of job opportunities. And obviously, there were no job opportunities for tourism professionals. So I was obviously thinking about myself, right? I have a master's in tourism and development studies. What will I do next? And I started thinking about it in my first semester. So what happened was that I got to know from our program, from one of our instructors, that there is this World Travel Mart happening, in November. I think it was September 2018 then, and I made a note of that. And take notes. It really helps. Trust me. As a we generally don't take notes and we don't read. I would highly encourage, if you want to succeed, no matter in your job, in your business, whatever you do in your life, keep reading, keep upskilling, because learning is a never ending process, right? Even before coming to this interview, I was not just working, but I was also doing a freelance course. So I am, because I want to keep my options open. I want to even sell our Pakistan itineraries on freelance marketplace, because there is an opportunity for that. So you keep up skilling. You never feel that, okay, I have a master's, I have a PhD, khalas, I'm done. If you have that mentality, then you will not fail in life, but you will not grow exponentially the way you want to. So I ventured out. I went to World Travel Mart, and I realized that I don't know how to pitch Pakistan in front of foreigners. I got a lot of random questions. Oh, you are the only female in this, stall. Oh, Pakistanis, don't they create Taliban? I got all sorts of questions, and I realized that I wasn't prepared for it. I wouldn't consider it a failure, but I considered it a feedback. So what happened was I worked on these questions. I asked some of my friends, I asked some scholars, I asked those tour operators who were exhibiting Pakistan in London. I asked them, how do you deal with these questions? Okay. So instead of sitting passively and thinking, oh, I wasted my time, this world travel mart didn't really work out for me. Oh, what do I do now? Oh, it's fine. Let's just do some other activity. No, you take the feedback, you work on it, and then you go to the next exhibition better prepared. So there was another one that happened in Berlin, Germany, in March 2019. So that is when I also got a chance to exhibit. I went as a volunteer, and this is also very important. Not all opportunities are paid. In your struggling years, you have to do, blue collar jobs. You have to go into opportunities where you are only a volunteer and you are not paid. If you really want to struggle, there will be a lot of opportunities that will open for you. But you need to have, the kind of mentality that, okay, even if it doesn't give me something, at least it will give me an experience. And trust me, no one can steal knowledge, skills, and the kind of experience that you have. No one can. Because what I learned from London and in Germany is still adding to my experiences. And now, whenever I pitch myself to someone, I don't say that, oh, I was a student when I was pitching Pakistan in front of, like a global market. I say I had that experience in addition to my student year. I was only a student, but I was exhibiting Pakistan on a global scale to a global market. That's how you pitch it. So trust me, that experience only adds on to your credibility, to your viability, and to your knowledge. And no one can snatch it from them. I mean, I still have that honor attached to me that I was, one of the two, women who were representing Pakistan in those stalls. And, I'm proud of that. So take experiences positively. In regards to failures, let me talk about the first startup that I, initiated. So I came back to Pakistan. I started working for Serena, and I thought, oh, I'm gonna have a very nice, career takeoff from here because, as you know, Serena Islamabad is the only five-star property in Pakistan, well renowned. It's a brand. But see, March 2022, we had COVID. I had to move back to Pakistan. Um, but the experience I had working in a top class hotel in Pakistan really helped me in terms of all the hotel projects that I am covering right now as a consultant. So if I think about it, when I came back, I did face those negative thinking and those negative thoughts that, oh, I wasted my time. I could have just become a nurse or a doctor because that's what that's the kind of skill that they have in demand. Um, I did have that negative feeling. I did have those negative thoughts. But I started working in a university as a faculty then. So kind of like my mind kind of distracted for some time. But I was hopeful that one day the borders will open. Tourism is not the industry that's going to close forever. And that confidence came from reading. And I kept reading a lot of articles from United Nations World Travel Mart. And I still read their post very religiously on LinkedIn, and I follow them religiously as well. And I did know, and also my co-founder and I, we were in contact, and we did know that one day things will definitely change because we have a long-term vision. We want to promote other regions of Pakistan. We want to, have communities as our center of tourism. We want to give them opportunity. And when you have a good intent that that not just you who wants to be successful, but you want your people, you want communities to succeed with you economically, socially, culturally, then I feel like God does definitely create a pathway for you. It comes slow and we have to be patient, but we have to trust in our abilities and that hope that one day things will become better. So during that time I had no intention of opening my own company. I started teaching at NED University, and I remember we were in complete lockdown. And it is also very challenging, and I wouldn't call it a failure but immense challenge. My first teaching project, teaching undergrad courses, and that's not easy, right? And you have to do it online, and I have no idea what Zoom is. I have no idea how to teach online. We had severe electric breakdowns during that year, 2020, and we have COVID. And I suffered mentally, emotionally. psychologically, and that is okay. You know, it's completely fine. There were nights, there were days when I could not sleep, given the fact that I was constantly evaluating what I have studied, what I am doing at the moment, and I don't know what my future looks like. And this is normal. This is completely normal. So anyways, so I started teaching, and I loved the process of teaching as well. So yeah, that journey took off, and I just resigned from any day because I wasn't able to manage the workload. So it took 2 years I was teaching. um, but it was because of my ability to adapt that sustained me in the market, so I wasn't jobless. And I think this is also very, very important. You constantly upskill yourself, and you don't feel like, oh, especially women who take a career break for a couple of years. There are so many women I know who are amazing individuals who have done so much, achieved so much in their lives, and they feel like, oh, we have taken a career break because we got pregnant, we gave birth, and now we have got children's responsibility, we have got household responsibility, we cannot come back to the market. That's a limiting belief. You can definitely come back to the market. It's just a belief that is constantly reinforced by society as well. See, if you keep hearing what society says, and you constantly think, oh, log kya kahenge, trust me, nothing is going to change. You're gonna get stagnant for a very long period of time. Don't think log kya kahenge. I still get judged by a lot of people because my field is such that there are hardly any women working in tourism sector. There are some, couple of vloggers and a couple of guides, but they're so, scattered, that there is no one body where all of us women can unite and work together. And most of my work, most of my meetings are with men, and I'm 100% sure there are people who talk really bad about me, but it's fine. As far as you're true to yourself, you're true to your work, you're committed, you're motivated, and you're honest, and you're genuine with yourself, trust me, no one can take that spark away from you. And when you succeed, then those same people would have a different narrative about you, and they would be like, whoa, look at her,
Yes.
she is so successful. So you don't hear them, please. And I would request all the Indian, Pakistani, and Bangladeshi women who are hearing me right now, if you keep thinking about them, trust me, nothing is going to change, right? But if you become successful and you become immune to them, then one day when you are successful, when you have a name, when you are a brand yourself, then the same people would have a very different narrative about you. And also, I've never been a brave individual because obviously the way I've been brought up with, and I also have had experienced childhood bullying, and not discrimination, but basically the color of my skin, and the color, the way my hair is, like curly. So according to the definition that Pakistan associates with beautiful women, I don't stand out at all, right? So I have had all of those kind of experiences. I am a human being after all as well. But you have to empower your own self. Trust me, no one is going to come and empower you. They say, yes, we are empowering women. What they're teaching you is skills, is market access. They are giving you knowledge, they're giving you information, they're helping you. But the real change has to come from inside.
Hmm.
And often at times we feel we are not enough, we are not good enough, we don't have the knowledge. I don't come from a business background. I came from pure research degrees. My undergrad degree was in social sciences. My first MA was in Islamic studies, and my MSc was in tourism and development studies, again an academic discipline. But when my co-founder and I, we decided that we have to establish something, because we have had done our research, and we did know that if we want to succeed in this sector, we need to have our own company. And trust me, it wasn't easy. So, and then the question arises that we both don't come from business backgrounds. Our education, our experiences are not from business backgrounds. So what I did, and what we did as as co-founders, we wrote our strengths. We didn't write our failures. We wrote our strengths, and we were like, let's combine our strengths and let's formulate a company. We will learn in the process. It's all right. And
Yes.
then, just like I told you, when you have a when your intent is good, right? God
Yes.
does help you. I mean, I'm not here preaching. I'm just saying whatever it is. If you believe in the universe, if you
Mm.
believe that there is something higher up, if you believe in a Bhagwan or Allah or Jesus, whomever you believe in, doesn't matter. If if you have that clear intent inside you that things are going to change, I am going to create that change.
Mm.
Slowly and gradually, that that path is going to literally curve out in front of you, and you will be amazed at how did it happen. Just like I told you, we both come from middle class backgrounds, my co founder and I. We didn't have an office space. The biggest challenge of all, how can we apply for a tour operating license if we don't have an office space? And then, I got to know through Facebook that there is this National Incubation Center where you can get yourself incubated free of cost. And you can, show that office space to your licensing committee, and it's fine. And yes, we had to struggle, and that struggle went on for 1.5 years. But now, Alhamdulillah, I mean, we are a licensed company. We are part of Pakistan Association of Tour Operators. So just believe in yourself, and don't become immune to what people are going to say. Have a clear intention, write down your strengths, have a self reflection, and also reflect on what people tell you that shoo away, like you are like, she's just blabbering. I have often done that. Like, a lot of people told me so many good things about me, and it's hard to find such people who would say good about you on your face and even on your back. Very few people. So if you find such people, grab them, become good friends with them, and reflect on what they have said, because they don't just say it, randomly. They mean
Yes.
something. Write it down and then write your own reflection on yourself. And when you have a list of strengths, you will realize how much human potential each one of us truly possess.
Yes, you are 100% right. And Zara, I have also noticed like hope, hard work are the golden nuggets of success. But
Hmm.
all you have to do has have good intentions. You should always hope for good for others as well, not for only yourself. You can't be selfish in this journey, because it's a lifelong process to develop yourself, to develop your community. It's not like just success is not just a destination, it's a journey. And in this journey you can't be just selfish or have bad intentions for your short term goals. You should have good intentions. Your strength of character should be strong, and hope and hard work will lead you to anywhere you desire, as far as I've seen. Thank you so much, Zara, today for your time. Like, you are an inspiration for not just for Pakistani women in general, because not many people start their journey. And I know, still remember that you were a student. I think I was a student at that time, and we were discussing what we have to do in future. And you at that time pitched me this idea that you want to do something in tourism, and I was like, oh wow, that sounds interesting. But I didn't know that like 5 years down the line or 6 year down the line we would be discussing about your business. So it's so good. It gives me goosebumps as well. So thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you for inviting, Alina. I am highly, highly honored.
And yes, so what time is there now?
I think we have got like 1.5 minutes to go.
Okay, sure. You want to share any last thought, your ikigai? Oh yes, I forgot to ask your ikigai. What's your reason for being in your life?
Um, it's very sweet and simple. Like, I've learned this in my childhood, and this is something that I'm continuing till now as well. If I can't do good for someone, I cannot be a source of pain and unpleasantness and agony for anybody. So if I can't do good to someone, I will always ensure that I don't do bad to them. Yeah.
Yeah. That's so good. That's inspiring. Thank you so much for joining us. And
Thank you for
for me, have a
inviting.
good night. For you, have a good evening.
Thank you, Alina.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.